Is it working? I can't talk in the same.
And hello and good morning, everybody. We are, I'm Anthony Weber with the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs Grants and Legislative Administrator, and to my left is Gabrielle Owens.
I'm Gabrielle Owens. I'm the General Counsel at the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. Thank you for all of you who have joined us. We are not going to be doing any sort of formal presentation today. Rather, this is intended just to be an opportunity for question and answer. Those of you on the call will ask the questions. Tony and myself will provide the answers to the best of our ability. If there is a question that we cannot answer, we will then ask for you to post in the chat contact information, and then we will get back to you, and then we will post the answer on our website so that everybody can take advantage of that. So with that being said, since we have no formal presentation, we are happy to answer any questions. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat box now, and we will answer them as they come in.
Pretty good turnout. We got 21 people on right now. That's pretty good.
Certainly out of 21 people, somebody should have a question.
We're both wearing blue on Monday, so that's good.
Yes. Tomorrow's primary election day, which is lovely.
If you're a state employee, you get the day off. Congratulations. Yes. Jill Fuel? Is that how you pronounce your last name? Said good morning, so good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Jill.
This is great. We should have our own radio show.
Yeah, I'm sure we would get less than 21 people
Probably. We're also going to have this video, this YouTube video posted to our website. We're getting a question from Joe DeVito. Can a past IDVA GVS recipient apply again?
Yes, that is a great question, Joe. Thank you for that. Yes, there is no prohibition from past GVS grant recipients to apply again. In fact, we encourage them to apply. They will then be considered just like all the other recipients.
We have another question. Is there any assistance to help with vets starting a local VA chapter? That's an interesting question.
Yes, a local VA chapter. So to me, if the individual who posted that question could clarify, in our world, that would mean we would call VA the United States or federal VA. So I am a little confused about how one would start a local chapter of federal VA. So could whomever posted that question, Smith, could you clarify? Because we'd love to answer that. We just need a little help of understanding exactly what that means.
Oh, well, while we're waiting for Smith 4, Trilogy Toys, what is the success rate of applications? What's the maximum amount a grant can provide? Can a grant pay for personnel assisting veterans be covered? Well, I can take one of those questions.
So right
the success rate of applications. I would say last grant cycle, I think there were 80 applications and we have 11 GVS grantees. So basically, if you have a really good application, if you have a strong background with helping veterans, you're 501c3, you check all the required boxes the state has for us to administer this grant, then you have a pretty high success rate. I think the ones that may have some trouble is where programmatic data or kind of their plan to help veterans also is we want to help veterans plus, cops and firefighters and things like that. So it's a little bit more specific what we are able to administer as far as the grant goes. The maximum amount for this grant cycle is going to be $100,000. So it's anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 between July 1st and January 30th of 2023. And yes, the grant can cover personnel. Is if you have a organization where you are assisting veterans getting signed up for state benefits or getting signed up in therapeutic services and things like that, then yes, that could help.
Right. Smith 4 has responded back to us asking if these grants are only for nonprofits or 501c3s. Yes, according to the Indiana Code, only nonprofit organizations that can demonstrate that they are nonprofit organizations via the IRS 501c3 letter are eligible applicants. That is Indiana law. And so yes, therefore, any applicant who is not able to demonstrate their 501c3 status as evidenced by the IRS letter will be disqualified.
And Don Hawkins asked, what are these grants for? The grant is for veterans services. So essentially what we're able to do is the state of Indiana and the code that is set forth by the state allows the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs to administer funds to support these organizations like what we just kind of described, 501c3s, who are, their main purpose is helping veterans and whether it be for food, housing, that's all kind of on them. But we have certain criteria that we have to meet in order to support them. Does that sound?
So the
It's
Indiana,
a little convoluted. Sorry.
the Indiana Code, and this is all in the solicitation, the Indiana Code sets forth purpose areas that we can only grant these funds for nonprofits serving these specific purpose areas. They have to deal with homelessness, near-term homelessness, stable housing, therapeutic services, which could be therapeutic services of a traditional or non-traditional variety. So equine therapy, pet therapy, hot rod therapy,
Yes.
all could be areas that could be covered under the grant. Also job placement and job employment services also could be eligible for grant funds. All those purpose areas are specifically set forth in the Indiana Code and are also set forth in the solicitation for easy reference, which can be found on the IDVA website at in.gov/DVA. And then there is a button for GVS, Grant for Veteran Services, and you can find the solicitation and the application there.
Additionally, on our website is a current list of the websites that we currently partner with for the fiscal year 22 grantees. So if you had questions, kind of what grantees we've supported in the past, you could access those websites and see what their programs offer.
Would you like to read the next question, sir?
So Jill Fuel, please describe the grant reporting back to IDVA. And I'm going to turn that one over to you because you're our legal counsel.
I would happily answer that. So what we will do is after we determine who our grantees are and how much they're being awarded and for what specific items, then we will prepare what we call a workbook. It's an Excel document that has fields in it that each grantee needs to complete. They will send that workbook back to us demonstrating what amounts they would like reimbursed each quarter. And then they will have to also email us supporting documentation evidencing those expenditures, what they were, and that they were already paid. All of these grants are reimbursement grants. That means that our selected grantees need to expend the funds first, provide us with the workbook and the documentation. After we analyze it and we determine everything is appropriate, then we will reimburse those expenditures. I think we had one that said, what benefits are offered to veterans who only served in the National Guard, assistance such as food, financials, etc. We have two different grant programs here at IDVA. This grant program is for nonprofits who are serving veterans, and that would include National Guard members as well in that definition. We are not restricted by the federal definition of veteran, which would then in most cases or many cases exclude National Guard personnel. We also have the Military Family Relief Fund. I just want to make sure I'm answering the question to its fullest extent. We also have a program called the Military Family Relief Fund, which is for individual veterans to apply to. So again, GVS grants are for nonprofits. Our Military Family Relief Fund is for individual veterans to apply for. That program also applies to individuals serving in the National Guard. They would need to meet our eligibility criteria and also provide an NGV 22 or an NGV 23 in order to evidence service in the National Guard. And that program would pay for eligible veterans rent, food, other housing,
essential housing.
Utilities, yes, essential housing,
Yeah.
Expenses. And so again, I just wanted to draw the distinction and fully answer that question.
So we're getting lots of comments, so thanks everybody. Back up here towards, I think right in here, a director of grants link available to grant and the guidelines for application and all of that. If we haven't already addressed, it is on our website that Gabrielle mentioned earlier. And there are specific tabs that come up kind of under a running banner, and one of them says grants for veteran services. So you can click on that. Mr. DeVito, thank you for addressing Mr. Smith-Forrest's question. Mr. Vlasic, Tom Vlasic, sorry for any confusion. If there is something on the website that we need to have corrected, we will definitely reach out on that. And do you want to address the Mr. Smith's
there
question
was some dialogue about again from Smith about SBA doesn't offer assistance to vets looking to form nonprofits. I've worked with several SBA offices that will not help business develop for 501c3. They mainly only help with for-profits. SBA, I'm guessing, probably means something different to Smith than that does to me. In our world, SBA stands for the State Budget Agency. So I'm guessing that that is not the same use of the acronym that Smith is referring to. What I think might be helpful is, sorry, I'm trying to read a additional comment. Again, I'm still confused.
Small business association.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Gotcha.
right, thank you. Because again, SBA to me means the State Budget Agency. As far as trying to register to be a nonprofit, I have heard varying things about it, that it can be very easy or it can be very difficult, and I've heard everything in between. I know that there are entities out there that will assist organizations form a nonprofit. There are some attorneys out there that, as a pro bono service, may help organizations with that. That is obviously not something that that we could help with. I have heard it can be a lengthy process, even if one finds the application easy, it will take a while. So that is something that you would need before we could grant you money. So obviously, if you're considering applying for this grant and you don't have your 501c3 status at this time, obviously the sooner you can do that, the quicker, because Indiana code will not allow us to actually grant any funds to an organization that is not a 501c3. I would recommend that if you need assistance and you're looking for an attorney to assist you, the Indiana State Bar Association does have pro bono resources, a great place to start.
Good question here from Trilogy Toys. What's the annual What's that?
If you read it, I'll answer.
Okay, yes. What is the annual total of GVS grant funding for 2023? And does this amount vary from year to year? What are the past amounts and what does the future amounts look like?
The total amount of grant funds available for 2023 comes out of our IDVA budget. So there is no set amount set forth in the Indiana budget or IDVA's budget for these grant funds. So that is an amount that just comes out of our general operating fund here at IDVA. Past years, last year, for instance, we granted out $483,000. And as Tony mentioned, those are set forth on our IDVA website. So you can see who those 11 are. And if you want, you can even click on the picture and be linked directly to their websites. As far as future amounts, there is no one that I know who can predict the state of Indiana budget. That would be a budget decision made by the Indiana General Assembly in our next cycle, our next legislative cycle, which will be a budget year. And whatever funds are deemed to come to IDVA, we will then make budgetary decisions of how those funds are allocated, including the GVS program.
All right, so we're getting lots of great questions. Thanks, guys. Bear with us as we try to reach every single one of you. Joe DeVito mentioned again that the entire graphic for the GVS solicitation is on the website. The solicitation for this current fiscal year is not a link. It is a download. So if you're looking for a link specifically, it won't link you to the application. You have to download the application.
And if I said link, I apologize.
Oh, well, there is a link.
Technology is not always my friend.
And I may have said link as well, and we might have just been alluding to our current GVS grantees. There is a link for them to then click on. And let's say, got some people responding to each other's questions. That's awesome.
Oh, good. That makes our lives easier.
Oh, here's another one. The link on the IDVA page does not have a link to the application form. Only the 2021 grantees link is active from Director of Grants.
Okay, so again, I believe that is addressed. If Director of Grants, you're still having trouble finding that, even with Joe DeVito's assistance, please post a new chat.
Mr. Jerry King, hey Jerry, we already have a 2-year budget approved for fiscal year 22 and 23. So do I need to complete the grant documentation? And you will.
So Mr. King is a grantee of IDVA's already. He represents AMVETS, and there are 5 organizations, AMVETS being one of them, that in our IDVA budget, we are statutorily prescribed to give funds to. So therefore, that is a FY22 and FY23 grant, but that is a grant program wholly set apart from these GVS grants. So I want to make very clear so no one is confused. What Mr. King is referring to is an entirely separate grant program than the grant program regarding this webinar. This webinar is talking about grants that have a 1-year fiscal cycle. So the start date would be July 1st of 2022, and the grant would end June 30th of 2023. So again, just a 1-year grant cycle. The 5, including AMVETS, DAV, the American Legion, VFW, and Vietnam Veterans of America, are a different grant program. So to answer your question specifically, no, Mr. King, you do not need to complete this grant application documentation. Your organization operates under a different grant from IDVA. However, if AMVETS as a nonprofit organization wishes to apply for this grant for a different program, you are not restricted from doing that. And so we would be happy to accept that application from you and your organization just as anyone else.
And you're welcome, Jerry.
We have a lot of questions.
That is good, yeah. That's like rapid fire. I like it.
All right. Anyone have any other questions? Thank you for those who posted questions.
What's the difference between, Mr. Smith, 4, what's the difference between a veteran organization and one that's affiliated with the federal VA in regards to the VA chapter topic?
I'm going to be candid with you. I've been doing this for a minute, and I'm not candidly sure what a VA chapter is. So when you ask what's the difference between a veteran organization and one that's affiliated with the federal VA, I know that there are many partners with the federal VA. How they are determined affiliates, that is an area outside our scope or expertise, and candidly not a term that I am familiar with, that someone is an affiliate of federal VA by any sort of specific distinction granted by federal VA. I know in our previous grant cycles, we will get letters of support from federal VA for nonprofits who work with them, who they have a relationship with. But I have not in any of those letters of support ever seen that they are affiliated or have some official affiliation, but that they are partners. They receive referrals from federal VA. I know I've seen many letters of support from federal VA regarding homelessness, that if there's veterans who are homeless, they'll refer them to a certain nonprofit or certain nonprofits that they have a relationship with and that can house their veterans.
And Jill, is the grant amount predetermined at the start or after submissions for reimbursement?
Okay.
Good question, Jill.
I'm presuming, and if I do not answer your question and my presumption is wrong, please let me know. You're speaking of the total grant amount. No, it is not currently predetermined. What we do is we receive all of the submissions. We go through a multi-day scoring process. And then at the end of the scoring process, our scoring team will then make recommendations to our IDVA director as to what we would like to grant out and in what amounts. And then he will determine if that amount and our recommendations comport with the agency's budget.
I suppose we could say that the only thing that's predetermined is kind of the 10,000 to 100,000.
Yes, the 10,000 to 100,000 as set forth in the solicitation is predetermined. We will not grant out funds less than 10,000, and we will not be granting out any money over 100,000.
Right. Next, hope that answers your question, Jill. And by all means, add to it if you'd like. Any additional questions? And Rambo Harrison's, how can a veteran get assistance or reimbursement for travel expenses when not covered by VA travel for cancer surgery and treatment?
The only program that IDVA has that would assist an individual veteran would be through our Military Family Relief Fund, better known to us as the MFRF program. The application for that program can be found on our IDVA website. It has a predominant place as the keystone program of our agency. Right when you enter our website, you'll see where it asks you about MFRF, and you can click on that link. The application can be done online. There are statutory criteria that an eligible veteran would need to meet. So it is not necessarily a supplemental program to the VA travel program. It is a whole different program administered here by the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs, but an eligible veteran could potentially receive assistance from us for medical expenses if all the criteria are met. And again, those criteria are found entirely on our website. And there's also contact information for our MFRF director and our MFRF assistant director if an individual would like to have specific questions about that.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Hope that answers your question. And it doesn't look like we have any additional questions at this time.
We'll give it a
Give it a couple of minutes
Give
and
it a
anybody
couple of
wants
minutes.
to join or.
And I know we've had a lot of dialogue with whomever Smith is. If you want to provide your contact information to us in the chat boxes, I'd love to find out more about the information you're seeking, and I'd be happy to contact you offline to discuss that a little further. I feel like I'm not quite hitting the mark with the answers to your questions, and I really want to give you a full response. I just feel like a dialogue might be best.
And also our email addresses are readily available on the
Yes, that is
IDVA
correct.
website as well. So let's see, we've got Bonnie Wooten. Do you have any predetermined areas that would get more weight in being given a reward or a grant? Excuse me.
There are no priority areas set forth in this grant.
As long as you're helping veterans.
Yes, well, in the purpose areas.
Yeah.
Again, the purpose areas that I briefly ran through are all set forth in the solicitation and the Indiana code. So those purpose areas all receive equal weight and priority. And so therefore, unlike we're all used to with a lot of federal grants, there is no set forth or predetermined priority area.
And Director of Grants, it seems that there is some issues going on with you being able to receive the solicitation. If you would like to reach out to me directly, I would be more than happy to send that to you in an email. My email is A as in Alpha, Weber, WEBER, @dva.in.gov. So, and that goes for everybody. Anybody wants to send me an email directly, I'd be more than happy to communicate with anybody. Derek, as a late arrival, welcome. And wants to know, I apologize, but I joined late. Is this program for profit or nonprofit veteran-owned companies?
This is for nonprofit organizations who have their 501c3 designation as evidenced by a letter from the IRS. There is no requirement, and I want to stress no requirement, that the business be veteran-owned.
Right.
We have grantees who are not veteran-owned businesses, and the Indiana law does not require us that the business be veteran-owned. So yes, you have to be a nonprofit organization, but to clarify, that nonprofit organization does not need to be owned by a veteran.
And, Director of Grants said, thanks, you're very welcome. Yeah, and I would recommend too, anybody that has been on here or is on here currently, and you're welcome, Derek, by all means, please, reach out with any questions, further questions. It is our desire to be transparent and to make sure that everybody fully understands what we're trying to do. It's not trying to be mysterious in any way. And this is the first Q&A that we're going to have for this grant cycle, but we plan on trying to have another Q&A. Stay tuned. There will be more to that. And 23 Shades of Devonia, does the nonprofit have to only serve veterans? Great question.
No, the grant funds can only be used to serve veterans, but the nonprofit organization can serve both veterans and non-veterans. They would just have to have an adequate accounting system to ensure that our grant funds only are used to serve veterans.
So could you give us an example?
So an example would be Indiana Legal Services, who is one of our grantees. They provide free legal services to individuals who are income eligible for those services. They obviously serve citizens throughout Indiana who are not veterans and not veteran affiliated, but then they also have a veteran division that then serves eligible veterans. We give grant funds to Indiana Legal Services, as you can see on our website and find their link as well. And they only use our grant funds for for that area of their operation that serves veterans. And they ensure that they account for that and provide us supporting documentation evidencing that our grant funds go to no other individual than veterans in Indiana.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, well put.
Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else have anything?
We're ready.
I know, now it's, you're giving us time in between questions now that we can really get into the meat of this. All right. I don't see anything pending.
All right, let's give it one more minute.
We'll give it another minute.
One more minute for any other questions, or as Tony said, you can find both of our contact information on the IDVA website. It's also listed in the solicitation. Since we did have one individual who was having trouble downloading the solicitation, I would encourage all of you, if you are even considering applying, take 5 minutes this morning, 2 minutes this morning, and try to access the application. Because if you cannot access the solicitation and the application now, we would rather assist you with that now than as the date gets closer and closer as to when you apply, because obviously you want to have the maximum of time that you can to submit your application. And we will not be taking any late submissions. Technology issues will not suffice as an adequate reason to submit your application late. Once the deadline closes, then they will be closed and no late will be done.
One last question, looks like just came in from Don Earl Hawkins. What program are you using for this video, and can you see us? Never seen it before. We are using YouTube. So no, we can't see you, but the idea was for you to be able to see us and hear us, and then we could answer your questions as they are coming in.
Tony, would you like to speak to then what will happen to the YouTube video presentation once it's concluded?
Yeah, so after this video has ended, it will take probably about 24 to 48 hours, and then this video will be posted to our website. So you will be able to access this and refer back to it with any further questions that you might have. Yeah, my pleasure. And all right, we've gone about 32 minutes. Unless there's any other questions, I think we will go ahead and end the stream. This live stream will then end. And as I said, in a couple of days, Don Earl Hawkins said, great job, guys.
Oh, so, thank you. Thank
well
you,
done. Well done to you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks very much for bearing with us as we explore kind of new ways of reaching out to you and having you be able to ask us questions. And as we said before, if you have anything further or concerns or anything like that, feel free to reach out to us. We are available.
Can I just throw one?
Yeah, by all means.
So to follow up on Don's question about the use of this, one of the nice things about the YouTube Live is it doesn't require the participants to have any app downloaded or any sort of membership or login criteria. And so that's one of the reasons that we're giving this a try is when you get into some of the other more known platforms, especially that COVID has made near and dear to all of us with Zoom, WebEx, Microsoft Teams, we've gotten feedback from individuals saying, well, I couldn't attend this or I couldn't access this because I don't have a login or I don't have that app downloaded. So in order to make this as inclusive as possible, we looked for an avenue that you did not need any of those criteria, memberships, login, apps, or anything. So I want to commend our IDVA outreach team who was fabulous and helped us get this set up, has administered this for us, and is always a wonderful partner to us down the end of the hall to help Tony and I get the word out. So thank you, IDVA outreach team, for setting up the YouTube Live. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for those who've attended. Thank you, especially to those who had questions. And we hope to talk to you all soon.
Great. Reach
Bye-bye.
out if you need us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.